Hello everyone. In this video, I am going to walk through the PPT of the project browser JSGuard. Here are the content of the PPT, the problem statement, existing system, disadvantages, proposed system and their advantages, followed by use case diagram, architecture diagram, and then module-wise explanation of the entire project. So to state the problem clearly, I can say that user knowingly or unknowingly visits a malware website, his system gets infected. Okay. So if you're thinking what actually a malware is, it is some malicious program that will be behaving abnormally within your system. Say in an unacceptable manner, it is going to behave. So simple and most common example for malware being, without your knowledge. Some of the plugins will be installed in your browser that will be changing the default landing page of the browser, or some advertisements you people can see without your knowledge in the Google home page, also in the search results page also, and also you people might be navigated to some other pages even if you have not clicked on anything. So you can consume your system memory. So some of the serious issues may include the plugins that installed in your browser may track your each and every page you are visiting, and the entire history can be sent to the hacking server. Also, whenever you are transacting through your online banking, net banking kind of thing, so your credit card pin, all those things can be tracked, and it can send it to the hacking server. So all these things comes under the malware. So what happens here is you are going to visit a legitimate site only. Say for example vitu.ac.in, you visit a legitimate site, but hackers are going to take the complete control of vitu.ac.in. When you visit that site, so you will be unknowingly download some program those people have already injected to vtu.ac.in. It's like you haven't been visited the hacking website. You visited the legitimate website only, but still you are downloading the malware because that legitimate website has already been taken over by some hacking website. Right? So that's how the malware gets installed in your machine. So the step-by-step procedure, I can say like this. So attackers will be first exploiting the vulnerabilities in the web browser and acquire the control over the underlying operating system. Once the attacker compromises the user web browser, he can instruct the browser to visit the attacker's website, and once the malware is downloaded, it would be placed in the file system and it will be working as per the instructions of the attacker. Okay, so this kind of method that I told you right now, we call it as a drive-by download. So because you are downloading the malware, so we call it as drive-by download attack. Right? So this happens to be the problem statement. So coming to the the next part. So we have two different types of this. Let me take a highlighter. So two different types of this drive-by download. Okay. So let me explain them. So we call it as case 1 and we call it as case 2. Okay. So the drive-by download attack, case 1 happens to be where the exploit code will be residing on the target server. Okay, so the meaning of target server is what the vtu.ac.in, the website, the legitimate website which you are visiting. So we call it as a target server. Okay, so let me take a diagram to explain this. So if you have a browser and you are visiting a vtu.ac.in, so this is the server of vtu.ac.in. You are visiting that page from your browser. So what attackers are going to do is, so this is an attacker, so he is going to insert the exploit and content to invoke the exploit. There are two things that the attacker is going to insert here. First one is the exploit and the second one is content to invoke the exploit. So both of them will be injected to this target website. So just remember the terms carefully. This is what we call target server, and this is what we call attacker. Okay. So when you visit the target website, okay, the exploit and the content to invoke the exploit which has been injected by the attacker to the target website also gets downloaded to your machine. Right? It gets downloaded to your machine. in the third step. So then your machine will have this exploit meaning the code, malware code. Okay, so your machine will have that entire malware. So now your entire browser has been taken over by this attacker. So your browser will be behaving as per the instruction of this attacker. Okay, so this is what we call case 1 of drive-by download attack. So you need to note that the case 1 is when the exploit and the content to invoke the exploit, okay, both will be residing in the target server. This is case 1. So but whereas in case 2, right, so the exploit and the code to invoke the exploit, okay, it will not be present in the target server. Instead it will be present in the attacker server only. Okay, so if you can see this, attacker also will be maintaining one server. Okay, so in the previous case the exploit and the content to invoke the exploit both was been injected to this target server. But in case 2, only the content to invoke the exploit will be injected to the target server, whereas the actual exploit will be present in the attacker server only. Okay, so the reason why attackers do this is because exploit is very huge in size. Okay, like 1000 lines of code, whereas content to invoke that exploit is just a function call, 1 line of code. So only the content to invoke the exploit will be written inside this target server, whereas the entire exploit will be stored in the attacker server. Okay, so whenever this attacker injects the content to invoke the exploit into the target machine, so that code will be downloaded to your browser whenever you visit that target server. Then your browser will have the code to invoke the exploit. So whenever it runs the code to invoke the exploit, it will make a request to the attacker server and the entire exploit will be downloaded. So then the entire control of the browser will be with the attacker. So you can instruct your browser to behave however you want. So this is the case 2. So the difference between case 1 and case 2 is exploit code and the content to invoke the exploit both will be present in target server in case 1. But exploit will be present in attacker server. Content to invoke the exploit will be present in target server in case 2. Hope these two types of drive-by download attacks are clear. So we need to solve both the attacks. Okay, so existing solutions for this project happens to be lot of internet security softwares and malware prevention extensions like McAfee, Norton. There are many other plugins that you can use in your browser as an internet, security softwares which claims to prevent the malware and all. Okay, so even though all the plugins are very well accepted and work fine, so they still suffer from some of the disadvantages, like their database to be updated frequently. Like all those people will be maintaining a database, to check whether it is a valid site or a malicious site. So every time the plugin finds out a malicious site, the database will be updated. Okay, so maintaining the database is very huge. Okay, what we call it as very time consuming. So every time you visit a page, there will be a database operation being carried out, which will be taking a lot of time. Okay, so and zero-day attack and obfuscation attack will not be solved in the existing system. So the meaning of zero-day attack is what as I told you, the list of all the malicious sites will be stored in the database. Okay, so every time you visit a site, the plugin will check whether that site is listed in the database or not. If it is listed in the database, it is malicious. So it will block the site right away. If it is not listed in the database, it is not malicious. It will allow the page to be rendered. Okay, so consider a scenario where a website is not listed in the database, but still it is malicious. Meaning what nobody have ever found out that site is been malicious because it is a newly born site. Okay, so whenever you visit that site which is not listed in the database but still it is malicious, your plugin will not stop the site from being rendered. It will allow the site for being rendered, right? But still it is malicious and your entire browser crashes. So we call this kind of attack as zero-day attack. Okay. So to summarize it, zero-day attack is the situation where the website is not listed in the database as malicious, but still it is malicious. Okay. This kind of attacks will not be solved by the existing system. And another attack which is not been solved by the existing system is obfuscation attack. So the dictionary meaning of obfuscation is hiding. The people who writes the exploit code, right, they are going to hide that inside the JavaScript. So they are going to obfuscate their entire code. So the plugins will not be able to read that hidden code. So they will simply allow the site to be rendered and the entire browser crashes. So we call it as an obfuscation attack. And the fourth disadvantage of the existing system is some of the solutions requires a sandbox. The meaning of sandbox is a virtual browser. So what they're going to do is you have a physical browser like Mozilla Firefox. So if you install the plugin, it will also install the virtual browser, one more browser on top of it. Okay, we call it as a sandbox. So the reason why we need virtual browser is any incoming website will be first rendered in the virtual browser, sandbox browser. So if that browser is safe, then only it will allow the page to be displayed in the original browser. If the sandbox, the virtual browser crashes, it will not be rendering the page in the original browser. So but maintaining a sandbox is very time resource consuming, because if you open a single browser, it's like you have opened two browsers actually, so which is very memory expensive. So these are the four disadvantages of the existing solutions. So what we are going to propose is, we are going to propose a browser extension, or what we usually call it as a browser plugin. So we are going to write a plugin especially for Mozilla Firefox, and whatever plugin actually does is it analyzes each and every incoming page, okay, and it will detect any malicious behavior in it. So basically what we are going to do is, we have some predefined rule set. Okay, like what are the allowed behavior of a web page and what are the disallowed behavior of the web page. We have the rule set. So any page you visit from Mozilla Firefox, so the plugin what we developed will be analyzing the incoming response from that page, and it will compare that HTML response against our rule set. So if it meets the rule set, then it is going to allow it. So or else it concludes it as a malicious behavior and it's going to stop it. Okay, so the advantages of our proposed system is absolutely there is no database at all required here, because we are processing HTML response at the dynamic time. So we are not storing it anywhere. So dynamically in the runtime we are processing it, and we are just neglecting it. Okay, so we doesn't suffer from zero-day attack because we are not maintaining any database. So any site that is newly born, right, also will be dynamically analyzed. So zero-day attack will be solved, and of course the obfuscation attack will be solved, because we will be de-obfuscating it first. So we will be unhiding it first. So any code that has been hidden, right, we will first de-obfuscate it, and then we will be analyzing it. And of course there will be no sandbox required, because we are just in the runtime we are analyzing each and every tag. There is no need of a separate browser here. Okay, so these are the advantages of the proposed system. So now let's get into the use case diagram. So use case diagram basically explains what are the different roles in your project and what each role is going to do. Okay, so if you can clearly see from this use case diagram, we have two type of user in our project. One we call him as an admin, and another one we call him as a user. So basically user will be using our plugin. He will be using our plugin, and the admin will be using our admin portal. So we are actually developing two applications. One is a plugin and another one is an admin portal. Okay, I'll tell you what is that admin portal. But the plugin will be used by the user after installing it to Mozilla Firefox. Admin portal will be used by admin in Google Chrome. Okay. So the user, after installing the plugin in Mozilla Firefox, he can visit any of the web page. Okay, he can intercept each and every web page, and he will be analyzing each and every web page. Okay, so this intercept and analyze module together will be called as a plugin. So this will form a result, like whether the page contains some malicious code or not. So it will give you the result. Okay, and of course you can either enable the plugin or disable the plugin through the browser provided feature. Okay, so these are the operations that the user can do with our plugin. Okay, so with our admin portal, right, the user will be able to perform the reporting capability. Okay, the meaning of reporting capability is he will be able to see which all users visited which all site at what time, and also the result of the page, whether it is malicious or not. All those things people can see. Okay, so primarily this will be extensively used in a cyber center. So where there will be lot of customers using the machines, and admin have to monitor them, like which page is actually visiting, whether he is visiting a malicious site or whether he is visiting a valid site. So there and all this, the admin portal will be coming into help. Okay, and also we provide something called access control. So the meaning of access control is what, just log in, log out, and registration module. Okay, so this is about the use case diagram for this project. Now let us get into the architecture diagram. So the architecture diagram of this project goes like this. So there will be a browser, Mozilla Firefox, and he will be visiting any site. So this is the HTML response of the website, say vtu.ac.in. It's the response of vtu.ac.in. So you are going to visit from the browser, you are going to visit this site. Okay, so it's going to, whatever I have written in this shaded area, the light blue shaded area, so is the plugin code. So inside the plugin we will be having the intercept module. So what intercept module will be doing, intercept module will first reads the incoming website, the response from the website, and then it is going to separate out the tags. Right, the HTML response, HTML is full of its tags. Okay, so in HTML, in intercept module, we are going to separate out the tags that requires monitoring and the tags that doesn't requires monitoring. Okay, as I told you, we have some predefined rule set. So all we need to do is the incoming web page we need to monitor against that rule set. So some tags will be required to monitor, whereas some other tags doesn't require any monitoring. Say for example, anchor tag. So with respect to anchor tag, anchor tag contains href attribute, right? Href equal to something. So there something can be anything. Like it could be a code to invoke the exploit and all. Href equal to. Okay. So anchor tag definitely requires a monitoring. Whereas div tag doesn't require monitoring, because div tag will just contain the division, the paragraph. Okay, it doesn't contain any harmful code. So div tag doesn't require monitoring. Okay, so the job of intercept module is to separate out the tags that requires monitoring and the tags that doesn't require monitoring. Okay, so then comes the analyze module. So the job of analyze module is to monitor the behavior of all the tags that are required to be monitored. So the intercept module will come up with the set of tags that requires monitoring, right? That actual monitoring, comparing the behavior against the rule set. So will be done with the analyze module. Okay, after that we can decide whether the page is malicious or not. So if it is against the rule set, it is malicious. If it is not against the rule set, it will not be malicious. So based on that result, so we are setting a flag. So the flag will be set as yes if the page is malicious. The flag will be set as false or no if the site is not malicious. Okay, so either the site is malicious or not malicious. So we are populating the result, like in the drop down or in the plugin, we are showing the result for the end user, saying that this is malicious or this is not malicious, like that. So after populating the result, so we are going to display that web page in the browser. So people can see we are going to display that web page in the browser. Okay, so if that site has been marked as a malicious, we are going to show the pop-up saying that this site is a malicious site, do you need to visit it? So the user can decide either to ignore the message or to be on safer side, he may not visit the website. So that and all the user can do. But what you should note here is parallelly, okay, while the website is being loaded in the browser, so we are making a parallel call, asynchronous call. Okay, so we are making an asynchronous call. Asynchronous means Ajax. So we are making an asynchronous call, parallel call, simultaneous call to the admin portal. Okay, so what comes in this dark gray area is the admin portal. So the admin portal will be running on a JBoss server. Okay, JBoss container. So you will be having a service within the admin portal, so that will be able to receive the request from the plugin. Okay, so that service we call it as a log service. Okay, so this log is actually the mapping. So that will be receiving the request from the plugin, and it will be making a call to the logger service. What actually the logger service will do, the logger service will write that into the database. Okay, so I mean, you visited vtu.ac.in. So this entire plugin analyzed that page. So the result of that page has been sent to this log servlet. So the log servlet invoked the logger service to write that entry into the database, saying that this user visited this site. That entry will be written into the database. Okay, and we are providing an analytics module here. So analytics module is basically to read the result from the database, like which all user visited which all site from the browser, like that. So we are providing the servlet layer. So the meaning of service is servlet. So we are providing a servlet layer. So to invoke the analytics layer. So this servlet layer will be provided to the admin. Okay, this servlet layer will be integrated with the front end code. So these are the front end code. Okay, the HTML front end web pages. So you will be having a page to register a new account, login into a portal, monitor, see the report or delete an account. Okay, all these things will be available to the admin. So this guy we call it as an admin, and this interface we are going to develop using Twitter Bootstrap, jQuery, all those UI framework. Okay. So this is the project architecture or the data flow diagram, what we usually call it as. So hope it was clear. So now let us go ahead and learn the module wise breakdown of the entire project. So if you have understood this data flow diagram, so the same thing we are going to divide it module by module. So whereas in module number 1 we are going to develop a basic plugin layout, like we are going to use an accordion template here for generating the plugin. Like we will be able to install that plugin in the browser, and some skin and all we should be able to see. So that we are going to do in module number 1. In module number 2 we are going to implement the intercept module, like how to intercept the incoming web page, how to decide the monitorable tag and not monitorable tag and all. In module number 3 we are going to implement the analyze module, where we will be writing a rule set. So each tag will be compared against the rule set. All those things will be done in the analyzer module. And in module number 4 we are going to implement the logging module. So the logging module primarily accepts the results from the plugin, and it's going to insert the entry into the database from the admin portal. So in module number 5 we are going to implement the analytics module, so where we will be able to read the data stored in the database and display it in the front end layer. In module number 6 we are going to develop the front end screen for admin portal. This we are going to do it using a Twitter Bootstrap framework, UI framework. So just to generate the wonderful front end screen for the admin portal. Okay. In module number 7 we are going to implement the admin services. like in registration, login, log out, view the report, all those things from the admin portal. In module number 8, we are going to install our entire admin portal in the JBoss application server. So till here we would have used Tomcat, but once the entire the entire admin portal has been developed, then we will be moving that entire code into JBoss. So these are the 8 modules what we have in our project. Okay, so if you can clearly see, so these things, the first 3 belongs to the portal, the plugin. The last 4 belongs to the admin portal. So this is actually an integration between the portal and the plugin. Okay. So this is how our entire project will be divided into smaller pieces. So we are going to implement this module by module and integrate everything into one project. So this is about the PPT explanation. Hope it was clear. Thank you. Thank you so much.